All right, guys. Right, this is just come out on Robert Peston's show on ITV tonight. So if you haven't seen it, here we go.
Only 16% have received an initial decision. Now, of them, 49% have been granted asylum, 43% were not considered because they'd crossed safe countries, 8% were refused. Thousands of Albanians have applied for asylum too, a majority accepted. But an Albanian man messaged me to say that economic migrants have come too. He says attracted by heavy advertising via social media.
Yeah, summer sale.
He objected to the depiction of many Albanians as criminals, saying Albanians feel ashamed or afraid to speak up about this, although one does not, and that is the Prime Minister of the country, who has tweeted, Albanians in the UK work hard and pay tax. UK should fight the crime gangs of all nationalities and stop discriminating Albanians to excuse policy failures. Robert.
Let's go. So I'm delighted to be joined by Robert Jenrick, the Immigration Minister. So let's just pick up on that criticism by the Albanian Premier. He's really cross that he thinks that you and your colleagues are depicting Albanians who come here as criminals.
Well, I want the UK to be a big-hearted country that welcomes those people who are truly fleeing persecution, war, human rights abuses. And of course, there will be some legitimate asylum seekers from Albania, as there are from almost any country in the world. But it's also
a legitimate asylum seeker from Albania? Come on.
And the vast majority of those people coming from Albania are young males who are fit, healthy, prosperous enough to pay the people smugglers.
But you've got to negotiate.
And so it is a good example of economic migrants of the kind that we as a country should be trying our best to deter to come here, because a quarter of those people who crossed the channel in small boats this year were from Albania. And
now try 80%, mate, but yeah, carry on.
System, making it even harder for us to provide that kind of welcome to people who are genuinely fleeing persecution, like those coming from Afghanistan or Ukraine, or other parts of the world where we would want to provide a much better welcome to them. And we do need to work to tackle that. And of course, I want to have the most productive relationship with Edi Rahman, the Prime Minister. But it is also true that the NCA, our principal crime agency, has said that there is a very significant and, in fact, disproportionate link between those coming from Albania and serious organised crime like county lines. And we cannot neglect that. We've got to tackle that because it's having a big impact on communities across the country.
But if it's such a peaceful country and these haven't got a legitimate claim, why, according to latest statistics, do 50% of Albanian requests to stay, why are they granted?
Well, that's one of the many challenges that we're facing and that I intend to look at when I'm in this role. We are a country which grants asylum to far more claimants than many of our comparators. So in the United Kingdom, 75% of asylum seekers ultimately get an approval, whilst in France or Germany, it's very significantly less than that.
So is our definition of what?
For that.
So is that because our definition of a legitimate asylum seeker is wrong?
We're going to have to look at the reasons for it. We're going to have to look at the reasons for it. But
you've been in the job, I know, only for a few days, but you must have a sense of what you think.
I think the way that we define asylum is undoubtedly more generous in this country than others. And the principal reason why people are drawn to the UK over, say, France, another safe country, is the fact that there is a very high chance that their asylum case will be approved here, whereas if they'd stayed in France or Germany, it wouldn't have been. And we need to look sensitively at that, because obviously we want to provide shelter to those in genuine need, but it isn't right that we are becoming a magnet for asylum seekers in this way.
Jess, I think you wanted to make a point.
Yeah, a couple of points that I want to pick up on. More people stay in France, for a start off, just to be clear on the facts. The point that you were making about the approvals for Albanians from last year, because obviously you haven't processed anyone from this year, is that the vast majority of the cases of asylum from Albania last year were women who had been trafficked for sex. I have personally liberated Albanian women from sexual slavery in my previous job. Like this idea that those that were allowed from Albania weren't in some sort of need, I think is quite a dangerous thing. And actually, you need to make sure that that's the facts before you say
I understand
because
that,
we
Jess.
have a really...
The system that we have in this country is one that looks at the individual circumstances of everyone who comes here, and that's right. It's not a simple rules-based system like, say, the French, where people can be disregarded purely on the basis of the country that they come from. But this year, we have seen a very substantial increase in young males from Albania. And those are the people who probably, not in every case, but probably shouldn't be here because they're primarily economic migrants. And there is a very strong
link. Because you haven't processed any of the cases from last year. So I don't disagree that they need to be... But your saying something that isn't on facts...
We haven't got that long. So I'm going to come back to you in a minute, and I know that you're going to make your points in a minute.
Absolute moron.
But what